والصلاة والسلام على أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل على محمد. أما بعد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. All praise and glory belongs to Allah, the Lord of the martyrs, the one who accepts the shahada or bearing witness of a martyr as a proof that this person was a slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The blood of a martyr shouts the sincerity and the submission to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because that person sacrificed himself, the self that we all love the most. We love ourself the most. The most precious thing to us is self. And the martyr shows through his actions that that self that he loves the most, he sacrificed it for the cause and for the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are the people with proofs about their tawheed, that there is no doubt about it. Imam Hussain happens to be the leader of all martyrs. And being the leader of all martyrs, his sacrifice is bright as the sun, proof that he was in the submission and love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in reality, what we've been trying to do is sort out a few shapes that still exist about Tawheed. And if we do not sort out of those, we're going to be in a bit of a jam when Imam Zaman comes. Because the Tawheed that Imam Hussain saved is going to be the Tawheed that he is going to implement on the whole of the world. Because Imam Hussain and Imam Zaman are synonymous. If you were to look at the a'mal of tonight, you will find Imam Zaman's name. If you were to look at the days for Imam Zaman, you will find the name of Imam Hussain. When he comes and makes the announcement that I have come to take the revenge of my grandfather's blood, he will start off his announcement with the name of Imam Hussain. One of the questions that do come is, the people who martyred Imam Hussain have been killed and they are dead for the last 1300 plus years. So when Imam Hussain says that, when Imam Zaman says that I've come to take the revenge of the blood of Imam Hussain, then the mind says that there must be some people that are going to be related to those enemies that killed Imam Hussain. This relationship would not be of blood. Maybe their progenies are still existing, and if you were a geneticist or you were good in genealogy, maybe you could find out. But the thing is that the version of Tawheed that existed in the enemies is going to still exist at the time of our Imam. when he comes. So by finishing that shape of Tawheed is in reality taking revenge for the blood of Imam Hussain. Did you get my point? That version of Tawheed still exists today, because what we've been saying for the last few days is that Tawheed stands on certain principles. Although from the face value they say La ilaha illallah, but the world they created inside was based on greed, on jealousy, on arrogance, and the love of this world. So those were the pillars of that Tawheed, that shape of Tawheed. That the Zahir, the front, seemed to be that this person is a Muslim, but inside that world that they created, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was not the authority over them. But the gods that they had inside was greed, jealousy, arrogance, and the love of the world. And because of those gods, they stood against Imam Hussain and did the atrocity in Karbala. And they were also not Jews or Christians. They called themselves as Muslims. The people in Kufa and Sham, they were not Jews or Christians. So in reality, there's going to exist certain type of Muslims. They're going to claim to say that we are, mubahid, that we believe in one Allah. But in reality, inside the world they created would be on the same principles as the enemies of Imam Hussain. And by eliminating that, those individuals and also the concept would in turn mean the revenge of the blood of Imam Hussain. So if we do not figure out what was the shape of that Tawheed, then guess what? Maybe inside of our world, our gods, maybe they happen to be jealousy, greed, arrogance, and the love of the world. And if those are the principles by which we have created the world inside the world of I, and it projects outside such, then those are the enemies. Then we are the enemy to our Imam. And he's going to take the revenge of the blood of Imam Hussain from us. Those individuals, as you know, they were so immersed in the love of this world that they had let go of those principles of Tawheed. They were so engrossed in the jealousy that they disobeyed the Holy Prophet, what he had said afterwards. They did that with the Holy Prophet, they did that with Imam Ali ﷺ, they did that with Imam Hassan ﷺ, and then the event of Karbala. Those individuals who were the leaders of the army of Imam Hassan ﷺ, they used to get bought by what? Money, power, women. If money, power and women, we are going to sell our religion for that, then tell me the difference. You are a Muslim, so were they. They call themselves to be the lovers of Imam Hassan ﷺ, so do you and I. True? They used to say that we are your Shia, so do we. They got sold on these three things, and we are being sold on these three things on daily basis. So what is the difference between you and them? The time of Imam Hussain, same thing. The people in Kufa wrote thousands of letters. The numbers in history is enormous. They convinced Hazrat Muslim ibn Aqil ﷺ that they are true lovers of Imam Hussain ﷺ. Hazrat Muslim ibn Aqil ﷺ was a personality known that he had seen the world, he knew the principles of logic, his intellect was very high, his sincerity level was very high, he had all of the qualities and the capacity to become the ambassador of Imam Hussain ﷺ. that on his hand, when they did the bi'ah, when they did pay the allegiance, it was the hand of Imam Hussain. They convinced him that we are the lovers and the Shias of Imam Hussain. And what did they do? Why did they break their allegiance? The fear of death, the fear of wealth, the fear of power. The mothers got afraid that their children would die. So they kept them. The mothers kept the sons. Let's go home. The wives decided the same thing. The sisters decided the same thing. And those individuals who didn't have any of those, they decided themselves that they would rather go against Imam Hussain than to pay their allegiance to Hazrat Muslim ibn Aqil. If a normal person comes, we are not able to convince him that we are really truly in love with Imam Hussain. So just imagine how much they were and what kind of state of mind and heart they had that they convinced as a Muslim. What is the difference between us and them? They were also Muslims, right? They claimed, they said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah, Aliyun Waliullah. They didn't deny the imamat of Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam. True or not? They didn't deny it. They cried for Imam Hussain to come, al-ajal, al-ajal, al-ajal. What do we do to our Imam? Al-ajal, al-ajal, al-ajal. What do we do every single year? We write him letters. Yes or no? Ariza. We write that letter. On his birthday, we write him a letter. No. Yes or no? We write him a letter. We see right in there, we need you. We don't have an imam. Same kind of writing as the people of Kufa. How many letters Imam Hussain has received, Imam Zawan has received so far? Let's try to count it. If there are about 200 million Shias around the world right now, well, there could be even more. Let's just say 200 million. And every year 100 million people write him a letter. How many letters? 100 million. We're taking 50% off. This is in 1 year. How many in 40 years? 100 million times 40 is what? 4 billion? 400 million thing. Right? Okay, what about 100 million multiplied by 1200? Okay, you'll say that there weren't that many Shias at that time in all of these years. Okay, let's just bring it even more down. Do you think there would be in every year at least 100,000 Shias that lived? Yes? 100,000 multiplied by 1200. If you look at the numbers, they're staggering, like they are enormous. Although we've sent billions of letters, Imam is still not responded to us. They sent, let's say, 100,000 letters to Imam Hussain, or 10,000 or 18,000, whatever happens. Imam Hussain sent his representative to go find out. We're so much satisfied with the way we are. We don't look at the last 1200 years. This is actually a punishment for us. This time that's going by is punishment. That you're going to be punished, you're going to stay an orphan. And unless and until you get out and realize what were the reasons for the Karbala to happen, what were the characteristics of the enemies and the friends, and you start taking those characteristics of their enemies out and start building the characteristics of the friends, only and until then we will bless you, we will bless your eyes with the appearance of that Imam. Tawheed, just now we're almost till the end of our talk with you, but there's one new point that I want to say which you can try to connect. How many types of Tawheed do we have? See? The ones that I've been telling you. If Tawheed you take as a translation that there is only one God, how many versions of Tawheed do we have? We have the Tawheed of Christianity. They also say that there is only one God. Monotheistic religion, Judaism, they say that there is only one God. We have Hindus who also say that there is only one God. We have Sikhs, they say also that there is only one God. Even the atheists, they also have only one God. We talked about it yesterday. Out of all of their little gods, there will be still one thing, that is the Almighty. We mentioned to you that 7 billion people, nobody is godless. The thing that around which your life revolves, the one that you submit and love, that is your God. It can be your job, it can be your wife, it can be your kids, it can be your Samsung Galaxy Note 4, it can be your Mac Pro, I don't know which one is the newest one. It could be money, it could be any of those things. Imam Hussain knew that people have decided to submit to their lowly desires, they've given in to the love of this world, they have gotten this ill of jealousy and arrogance, and these people are in darkness where if they don't get out, they will not remain the pure Tawheed that the Prophets brought. So therefore they decided, Imam Hussain decided that he's going to go and produce an event which is going to wake up those Muslim Shias, and is going to wake up every Muslim Shia or a Muslim throughout till the end, till the Imam of the time appears. And you see that in Muharram. The types of Tawheed I'm going to tell you, this is a little bit, you can write them down if you want. We wanted to explain that to you in detail, but we didn't, because there's another angle I want to explain to you, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills. There is Tawheed-e-Zati, there is Tawheed-e-Sifati, Tawheed-e-Ibadi, and Tawheed-e-Af'ali. And this is actually news for you right now. It's like news flash, breaking news. Tawheed-e-Zati, in the essence, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is one. Tawheed-e-Ibadi, you cannot worship anyone other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you do, it's shirk. Qualities. Tawheed-e-Sifati, that all of the qualities of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are in His essence and not outside. They are not anything other than His essence. Tawheed-e-Af'ali, every single action that happens, the one that gives power to that action is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If I think that I can do something without the power given to me by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it comes in shirk. If I worship Allah, if I do something for other than for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it comes as shirk. If I consider that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has these qualities outside of His essence, it becomes shirk. And in essence, what we end up thinking is that just by saying that God is one, that we are there. No, we have to. It's not just a number one. Tawheed is Zati means Laysa kamithlihi shay. There is nothing like it. Right? So now, if you were to look at the whole of Islam, and you were to summarize it, you will come to this Tawheed. If you were to open this Tawheed, you will get these 4 sections. On the Day of Judgment, all of the levels of heaven are going to be given on the basis of Tawheed, and all of the levels of hell are going to be given on the basis of shirk. If I think that I have done this task without the power given to me by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I am in the state of shirk, polytheism. And we do that all the time. अगर मैं आपको ये ना देता तो आप तो सड़क पे होते. If I had not helped you, you would have been on the street. It is because of me today what you have. If I had not supported your kids, today your kids would not have been educated. If I had not gone and learned this knowledge, then today I would not be an alim. If I had not applied for that particular job and my own skill set that I had, if I had not done that, then I would not have, I got this job on my own credit, on my own morals. Self-confidence gets you there. You have to have God confidence, not self-confidence. It's a very big difference. In our speech, we do this all day. When it comes to the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we know that we came to this particular majlis and we are going to stay all night in the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, qurbatan ilallah. What do we do? उन्होंने मुझे मजलिस अपनी मजलिस में बुलाया है, मुझे उनकी मजलिस में जाना है. Somebody called me to their majlis, I have to go to their majlis. If I do not go, they will not come to my majlis. This worship is not for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's for that person. And by going to that majlis with that intention, you are in the state of polytheism. I'm going to attend that particular majlis because that Maulana who's recites really well. So the reason why you're going to that particular majlis is not for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you're going to go hear that particular Maulana. We do this all the time. The person reciting would recite so that people can cry a lot, that he's known as to be an alim, he's got some command on the language, that he gets invited again. Is that for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? It's shirk. I've given you the blueprint. Think about your life. In which action was Tawheed and in which action was shirk? And I won't be surprised and you won't be surprised that if you could not find one action that was actually fits in that criteria. After 25 years of really trying hard, at Shab-e-Ashura Ulum, he said that I was able to do one task sincerely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Biharul Anwar, you quote all the time. What do we do? You came and you recited, or a noha, so that your voice goes up and down really nicely, and people listening, gives you praise. That noha is shirk. He wasn't for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in reality, all of these things that we're doing in our daily life, we really have to look at it, whether Tawheed is there or not. If it's not there, it's all polytheism, and then the levels of polytheism are unlimited. And on the highest level of polytheism, you'll find the enemies of Ahlul Bayt al-Muslim. And on the lower levels, you'll find even the friends, so-called friends of Ahlul Bayt al-Muslim. When they broke their allegiance to Imam Hussain, there was in reality putting a partner with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, their own holy desires. When you have sold yourself to Imam Hussain, who is the representative of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and your allegiance has been now that it is an obligation for you to fulfill it, and you leave the representative of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to go with the enemy of his or to protect your life, you've submitted to another God other than Allah. And that's what the people did. And we carry on this way. One of the questions that come up, which we will do, maybe answer it and then move on. This is that we are polytheist people. Like Shias, they say that we are polytheist people because we believe that Aimma Masumin alayhi salam happen to be the representatives of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by through their means were able to connect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They don't put it this way though. They think that we worship Imam Ali alayhi salam. They think that we bow down to Imam Ali alayhi salam as if that Imam Ali alayhi salam has a certain will and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a certain will, and Imam Ali alayhi salam will can overpower the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And sometimes our actions are also such, but believing in means to go towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not shirk, it's aini tawheed. Why? When you get ill, in anything that you have to do in your life, you need means. You want water, the piping and the lake becomes means for you to get water. You want to breathe, oxygen becomes means for you to be able to get oxygen to your body. You want to hear, your ears become means for you to be able to hear. You want to have a smell of something, your nose becomes means for you to be able to smell. You want to touch something, your hands become a mean. Your whole body is a tool, is means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to you for your survival. If you were to say, no, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala should do this directly, well then you do not need any of that. In reality, if you don't need your body, then what's the point of you being here? There's no point of creating you and put you on this earth. If they have a problem with their car, oh, I cannot sort out any means for help. Or if you have a problem in sorting out means for help with your car, don't go to the mechanic. Don't go. Because you're going to say to the mechanic, can you help me with this? My car has broken down, can you help me with this? You go to the doctor, Allah is Shafi. Allah is enough. Allah is Shafi, He gives health. If that's the case, then just, do as much dua as possible. Don't go to the doctor. Why is it that we first run to the doctor, afterwards we do dua? In every single thing that you do in your life, you require means. There's not one thing of the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that reaches the creation without means. Tell me one thing. One thing that you can receive from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as mercy and blessings of Him without means. There's not even one thing. But when it comes to get connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they say that it is enough for us to directly connect to Allah. Okay, whether you're going to say dua or not, is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala going to have a problem listening to it? I'm just, if you're with me, whether you say it or you don't say it, your intention, if you just have the intention, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can listen to your intention, your thought, right? Do you really have to say to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created you, He knew every single thing that you were going to ask Him. Before He created you, He knew what you were going to ask. So do you really have to call upon Him? He says, "Ad'uni fastajib lakum." He says, call upon me. When He says, call upon me, He says, okay, so they said that we'll just take this particular verse and that's it. What about the other verses that talk about means to get to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Sabil to get to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What about the rest of the verses? We don't want to look at that. I'll just tell you a small thing and we'll move on to our main point. At one point, the brothers, they created something about Ask and Alim. Okay. And when you used to Google, it used to come the first hit. You'd be surprised how many people actually would email asking me to pray for them. Are you with me? If you were to say Ask an Alim and you Google it, the first hit would be that link. On that link they will click, who do not know me, who do not know who that link belongs to. Just Googling, and the first thing that comes up, they click on it and they send the email, can you please pray for us? Who have never seen me, who do not know me, who do not know who that person is that they're asking for prayers. And majority of the time it was mixed, all groups of Muslims. You can go ahead and ask somebody you do not know that a link you found on the internet, you do not know the status of that person, whether they're even alive or not, and how good they are or not. But you have this natural inclination to ask that person just because the link says, Ask an Alim. That's okay. But if you were to say that I'm going to ask and make Imam Ali for whom the Holy Prophet says that Ana Madinatul Ilm wa Aliun Babuha, that I am the city of knowledge and Ali is the door of knowledge. If you want knowledge, you have to come through that door. If I was to ask Imam Ali to help me in a position that I'm in because of his status, closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you say this is shirk. But going on Google, typing Ask an Alim, finding the first link, not knowing the person, and then emailing that person and asking for prayer is okay. So in reality, Tawheed that makes sense, Tawheed that is logical, Tawheed as explained by the infallibles, Tawheed as explained by Quran, Tawheed that is not made up, Tawheed that is pure of jealousy, arrogance, greed and love of the world. Tawheed that is based on submission and humility, not on arrogance. لَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا رُسُلَنَا بِالْبَيِّنَاتِ وَأَنزَلْنَا مَعَهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْمِيزَانَ لِيَقُومَ النَّاسُ بِالْقِسْطِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the meaning, or I always get scared by saying the meaning. The concept in that particular verse is that we brought down, we sent the prophets with the books, with clear proofs, and with measuring scales so that people can stand with each other in fairness. Okay. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is describing a concept of understanding the reason behind the prophets coming, Quran coming, right? The rest of the holy books coming, the proofs coming, the measuring scale coming, for what? so that people can deal with each other on their own free will and choice with fairness. If fairness is out from a society, from a nation, they are not people of Tawheed. Because they did not get any benefit from the book, or the prophets, or the clear proofs, or the measuring scales. What is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying? That this is the reason why I brought them. If you do not see the effects of that means that these people have not benefited from the book, prophets, the measuring scales, and the clear proofs. And that is one of the bases that when Imam comes, this earth is going to be filled with justice and peace. And when it is filled with justice and peace, the purpose of the prophets will be fulfilled. And we all will have only one God, that would be Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we will only submit to His will, not to the will of music, not to the will of dancing, not to the will of our lowly desires, not to the will of money, not to the will of any of those things. Right. When you look at the time of Rasulullah, there was no social justice in the last days, because we have hypocrites and we have all of that. And as you come along, you see that social justice is slowly going away from Muslims. The Holy Prophet said that Arab and Ajam are the same. There's no difference between an Arab and an Ajam, meaning a person who is from Hijaz and a person who's not. They're all the same. The differentiations were made. So rich or poor, they're the same. Only the one who is righteous, who has taqwa, is closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. On being rich and poor, the differentiations were made. So man and woman, whoever is doing the best of deeds, their deeds will be accepted. The differentiation of, where women basically became slaves and the men ruled over them. Right? You are not going to kill an innocent being. If you kill one innocent being, you will be tried and punished for the murder of all of humanity. And you see in those times, innocent people were being killed. Yazid was doing that and before that. The fairness of distribution of wealth was not there. I mean, social justice was not there. Imam Hassan realized that. He saved the Tawheed that is the result of all of the Prophet's efforts. To save that version that tells you that religion and politics is not separate, it's same. Because if you separate religion from politics, what will happen is you will have a Maulana that will teach you religion, and then you will have a tyrant who will rule over you. With me? You will have a madrasa, you will have a hausa where the Maulana will teach you. And then on the political side, you will have a tyrant or an oppressor or a person who commits atrocities of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, fisk and fujur, openly commits those atrocities. They will rule over you. And guess what you see in Bani Umayyah and Bani Abbas? What do you see? Even Yazid started it, drinking and all this, ruling over Muslims and then asking them to pay allegiance because he's a representative of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Muslim. What do we have today? We have religion and then we have politics. In politics, the condition of a leader doesn't matter. About righteousness, piousness, knowledge about religion, knowledge about tawheed, akhlaq, morals, ethics, none of this matter. Even if a person used to be a person that used to play sports, that person can stand up and become our leader. A person who's called Mr. 10% is okay, he can be our leader. The person who's certified to be insane, he can become our leader. The person who goes ahead and kills innocent people for no reason, he can become our leader. And if he was to say, close all of the shops in the city, all the shops will be closed. Then a person who will go to Las Vegas and blow up all of this money can be our leader. The person who will drink, the person who will sit down with the enemies who are killing the Muslims can be our leader. There should be no other conditions other than that. Somebody comes and does the election, does a good speech. Doesn't matter what their character is, doesn't matter what their religion is, doesn't matter what their morals are, doesn't matter how close they are to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is okay. That person is our leader. And you see this all around the Muslim Ummah, other than one island. This person got elected, people were, giving iftaris. What are you giving iftari for? Oh, we got the government. The government is now in the hands of Shias. And the most corrupt person in the world takes the leadership of an Islamic government. And we are so happy we give in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to open the fast of the people. It's okay. Imam Hassan showed us that if you are going to separate religion from politics, what you always get is a tyrant like Yazid over you. And whenever those people who are righteous and pious, the ones who have the right to be your leaders, Karbala will happen. And if you do not change that mentality, that Hussein of the time is not going to come to Barba to produce Karbala, he is going to come and finish tyranny and oppression from this world. And we're still separate, politics and religion. We will live our life according to rules and regulations and ways of someone else rather than Islam. My sisters will look up the parenting books of the authors that have written on how to raise your children other than looking at what Aimam Masumin have said about raising your children. Our life's way of living is a ditto clone of somebody who does not have faith. Most of us. Right? Our balance of deen and dunya, you watch Netflix, Bollywood, listen to music, dance and everything, and then you go for Hajj and you do a bit of salah and everything and give in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a bit of sadaqah. Khums from which income? The right means income. If it was the right means income, yes, take out the khums. When you are committing atrocities, breaking the rules of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and earning all of this livelihood and say, I'm going to take khums out or I'm going to go for Hajj. But from the beginning, all of that was najis and everything you do with that najasat is going to be najis. If you're going to pray in a house and you haven't taken khums out, your prayers are invalid in that house. The dress that you're wearing, if khums is not taken out, if the right of Bibi Fatima Zahra is not given, that dress is ghasbi, is stolen. And a prayer in that, it invalidates your prayers. The food that you eat, khums not given is najis, you eat it goes in your body, you ask for dua, doesn't happen. We have to understand why do we have all of these social problems, but at the end of the day, there must be a reason that our houses are being broken, our kids are not listening, our community centers are being divided, we've got our hands on the necks of our brothers, we are now more afraid of our Shia brothers, what will happen on the 9th and 10th, rather than from the other people. Our own selves, we have made ourselves so low that the enemy and the shaitan can do whatever in our world. No matter how we suppress us up, we're still quiet. There must be a reason. The reason is what we have made ourselves to be from impurities. that our du'as have no effect, our hajj has no effect, our fasts have no effect, our kids are not listening to us, our wives and our husbands, they're divorcing each other with 60% rate. There must be a reason. Is what we're putting inside. Look at the way, how beautiful Islam is. You let go of one thing, look at the ripple effect. If you let go two, we're still trying to convince our brothers that you should pray namaz. We're still trying to convince our sisters that they should wear the Islamic dress. We're still trying to convince people to take our phones. We're still trying on these kindergarten things. How are we going to reach to the University of Karbala? These are like our main issues. When somebody comes, they try their very best to get them to. Where's the justice among us? In Tawheed, your leader has to be a Mawahid, your leader has to be appointed, your leader has to have all of the conditions that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned. Then that person is your leader. And now with that leadership, guess where you're going to go? You're going to go close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When Imam Zaman is there, he is that leader that has the qualities of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala embodied in him, with the characteristics of the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, justice of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, knowledge given to him by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is the embodiment, and all of humanity is waiting for him to implement Tawheed on our world that exists inside. And what the event of Karbala does is, when you hear the Masa'ib, is that it shakes your world from inside, and you see, when you can imagine the atrocities that were committed, your world gets shaken, and you say, what am I doing? If I'm still stuck not to be able to do the basic, my responsibilities of religion, what am I doing? Where is the sacrifice of Imam Hussain salam? Where is the right that he has over me, and what am I doing? You listen to the Masa'ib of Hazrat Ali Asghar, of Hazrat Ali Akbar, of Imam Hussain, and it shakes your world from inside and says, we have to protect what Imam Hussain saved. And what Imam Hussain saved was a Tawheed that is religion and politics, religion and the way of life is one. What he saved was that inside of you, the only authority should be there is of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What he saved was that in any society, in any culture, there should be social justice, fairness, based on the principles given to us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He saved that Tawheed that tells us that we cannot be cowards like the Kufis or the people in Medina and Makkah. That we should give everything that we have for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How different this Tawheed is by just saying, it tells us that this Tawheed requires not just saying that God is one, but in your whole entirety, in all of your actions, your sayings, your thoughts, everything, your nucleus, the house of Allah has to be the nucleus, and everything has to revolve around it. If you sit down, it's qurbatan ilallah. If you get up, it's qurbatan ilallah. If you talk, it's qurbatan ilallah. If you go to work, it's qurbatan ilallah. If you get married, it's qurbatan ilallah. If you have kids, it's qurbatan ilallah. Whatever thing that you're going to do in your life is going to be qurbatan ilallah, taking you all of these means closer to the end, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How different this is. It tells us that just by moving your tongue to say that you love the Imam of the time is not enough, because there were people who were better lip servicemen than us, who convince us a Muslim. So just by saying that we love Imam Hussain or I'm a Muslimin is not enough. Because if we have not built ourselves from inside, some enemy of Allah will come and we will be tested and we will let go of our religion, as Imam Hussain said in this particular statement. Inshallah, that maybe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bless us that some version of the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in some of our actions can come. And we become aware that the azan of Imam Hussain is actually the matter of a heart and not rituals. Azan in rituals is the projection of our emotions. Just stay with me for 5-10 minutes and we're done. The matam is the projection of the emotions that a person is feeling inside. The tears that we cry is a projection of the emotions we feel inside. The wearing of black clothes is a projection of the emotions we feel inside. Giving in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help those people who come for the azan of Imam Hussain is a projection of our emotions that we feel inside. This is just a projection of our emotions. Right? The rituals are there to show those emotions as a projection. Rituals are the projector, the emotions. With me? Rituals are the projector screen and the emotions are the projector. If whatever the projector is going to be on the screen, right? Whatever is in the projector is going to be on the projector screen. You will see that people will be crying enormously and afterwards there's smiles on their faces. They did the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they walked out. Aapko pata hai usne kya kiya, isne kya kiya, usne kya kiya, aaj ye kiya, wo kiya. For the next, this night and the next, imagine that your mom and dad are dead. How would you feel? If your mom and dad passed away, how would you feel? Try to have those emotions. What if somebody that you love the most passes away? How would you feel? Would you still act in the same manner as you do? Or would you be sad, remorseful, heartbroken? Just for a moment think that the person you love the most, if it is your daughter, my mothers can hear this. If you have a baby in your lap, imagine that baby has passed away. How would you feel? If they have a daughter that is 3 years old or 6 years old, look at her face and imagine how would you feel if she passes away. If you have a young man, as your son 18 or 25, look at their face and imagine if they pass away, how would you feel? The sister can look at the brother and imagine if the brother passes away, how she would feel. The uncle can look at the nephews and the nieces, that if my nephews and nieces pass away, how I would feel. The grandparents can look at their grandsons and daughters, if they pass away, how I would feel. But then imagine that this 6 months baby that you have just doesn't passes away, but the neck is cut with an arrow. How would you feel? Then while a father is holding that baby, the neck is cut, and the father says that my baby, my 6 months old baby, moved like a fish out of water. How would you feel? As the fish moves, the whole entire body of a fish moves when you take it out of the water. this was the condition of Hazrat Ali Asghar when the neck was cut and the blood was coming. How would a mother feel? How would a father feel? Your emotions, your relations are challenged today and tomorrow. They're challenged that if you have love for these emotions and you want their safety, well, 1400 years ago, there were emotions, there were relations, there was an uncle, there were nephews and nieces, there was a sister, there was a brother, there was a father, there was a mother, there was a 6 months baby, there was a young man, there was an old man. These were there. Emotions of theirs were multiplied with your emotions. Their emotions were 1,000 times more. Imagine losing children like all over Muharram. That our children be sacrificed on them. Imagine losing a person like Hassan for whom the death is sweeter than honey. Our teenagers may be sacrificed on him. Karbala challenges your emotions of love that you have for others. It challenges your emotions of love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It challenges your morals and ethics and what you have made yourself to be. How strong are you in front of the enemies, external and internal? It is a challenge. You can cry and cry all night, all day. Imagine that your loved ones have passed away. And if you cannot cry, try to bring that sadness on your face. Don't laugh, don't smile. Don't talk too much. Just have that sadness is enough. If in your eyes comes a little bit of a tear, it's okay. If you cry with a lot of tears, it's okay. But what is not okay for you to act as if nothing has happened. What is not okay is for you to act as if, yes, I have all my loved ones, yes, they passed away, it's okay. And the children of the Prophet became orphans today. They became orphans. But tomorrow they will be orphans. Their faces would be eligible for slaps of grown men. While your kids, they walk around, they smile. Imagine when they smile, imagine when they're sad. Imam Hussain, from morning, is lifting up the bodies of his friends. Hazrat Ali Akbar was a mirror copy in appearance and from inside of character of the Holy Prophet. Beautiful young man, who when Imam Hussain used to look at him would remind him of the Holy Prophet. You know how sometimes you have grandchildren that are exactly like their grandfather. And every time you look at your grandchildren, you remember your own father. Imam Hussain, whenever he used to look at Hazrat Ali Akbar, would be reminded of the Holy Prophet. In character, he had the same characteristics as the Holy Prophet. And he says, when he's letting him go, he says, "Oh Allah, be my witness that I'm letting go of someone that is the closest in appearance and character of the Holy Prophet." You know, when the goodbyes were done with Hazrat Ali Akbar, the way the women used to cry, the way the children used to cry, the way Bibi Sakina cried. Try to hear their cries, try to be at that time as the Akbar is leaving. Imagine a father who is letting go of his The most precious thing that he have is letting go of him. They say that when Hazrat Ali Akbar was leaving the tent, he was on the horse, and Imam Hussain was following him. He started following Hazrat Ali Akbar, and Hazrat Ali Akbar as well, before going to the battlefield, he would also turn around and he would see Imam Hussain with his head down, walking behind. You know why Imam Hussain did that? For as long as I can, I will try to look at my son. As long as I can. Hazrat Ali Akbar goes, fights, comes back, says, Baba, I'm very thirsty. 3 times. His one target, if somebody had a sword, is when everybody started to attack Hazrat Ali Akbar. If somebody had a sword, they were hitting him with that. If somebody had a spear, they were hitting him with that. If somebody didn't have anything, they were throwing stones. You imagine one target and thousands of people. When Hazrat Ali Akbar came down from the horse, he said to, everybody used to say their last salam. Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. They would call upon Imam Hussain salam that this is my last salam, I am going. And Imam Hussain would run to them. When Imam Hussain salam came to the body of Hazrat Ali Akbar, Bibi Zainab was already there. Bibi Zainab had come before Hazrat Imam Hussain salam. You know who Bibi Zainab? The neighbor of Imam Ali alayhi house says that I never saw Bibi Zainab alayha. But when the world did see, Bibi Zainab is in Karbala, in Kufa, in Sham. Right? Bibi Zainab first comes there. Imam Hussain tells her, you have to go back to the tent. Now Hazrat Ali Akbar is lying there with his hands on his chest. Right? And the father is concerned that my son is lying there. Why does he have his hands on his chest? The son is trying to protect the eyes of the father. He's trying to protect his emotions. He's trying to protect his heart even on the last minute of his life. He's going to pass away. Even in the last moments, he's trying to protect Imam Hussain. You know, young, strong sons, they try their very best that no harm should come to their father. They try their very best to fight anyone, but no harm should come to my father. They are the power that the father has. They are the pride that the father has. They are the holy soul asset that the father has. The son is trying his very best to protect the heart of his father. When the hands are moved, from the chest of Hazrat Ali Akbar, what Imam Hussain saw, what his father saw, was the chest of his young son. It was the chest that was broken by a spear. Can you imagine his father looking at the son's chest, that there is a hole in there? Oh. Now can you imagine that father has to take out that spear, knowing that once I take out this spear, this is inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un for my son. That these are the last moments I will be able to see the image of the Prophet. This is my son, he's going to go away. It was as if taking the spear out of the chest of the Holy Prophet. The spear is out, the body is lying there motionless. Imam Hussain Sahib is looking at it. How am I going to take it to the camp? How am I going to take this body to the camp? He has just gone through this difficult task of taking the spear out of the chest of his own son. You know what he does? If you can imagine that, it should be enough for you to become sad. What he does, he lifts up the body of Hazrat Ali Akbar. So he's sitting down. As he's sitting down, he puts his back on the back of Hazrat Ali Akbar. So both of the backs are joined together. He takes his arms and he wraps into the arms of Hazrat Ali Akbar. With all of the strength, he lifts that body. And as he's going towards the tents, his foot are making a footprint, and on the back is the footprint of Ali Akbar. The legs being dragged as the old father is taking a step closer to the tents where the ladies, the daughters of the Prophet are going to see this body. Oh Allah, for the sake of those motionless feet that made those lines in the sand of Karbala, for the broken chest of the son and the broken heart of the father. Oh Allah, we ask you through their means to forgive our sins, to give us the opportunity to sincerely submit to your will, for us to become the true followers of our Imam, that he comes as soon as possible. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, wal-'asr, inna al-insana lafi khusr, illa alladhina amanu wa amilu s-salihat wa tawassaw bil-haqqi wa tawassaw